All right, so we are here today to talk a little bit more about some technology that you can use. We're going to focus today's training on in KW Command in opportunities and tasks, and go kind of some best practices on that, some of the task management. As a team, we've moved out of a third-party transaction management platform that we were using to manage all transactions, and we are all in on Command to do that. So we're using the tasks in opportunities to get that done. And then, so we're going to do opportunities and tasks. Then we're going to go into some custom smart plans that you can get out, that you can go out today, that you can bulk email to people on a particular list, and just the creation of them. Not going to start with like what a smart plan is. We'll high level that, but we're really focusing on custom smart plans. And then the final thing we're going to go over is just how to use a watch party in Facebook to get engagement on a tour of virtual open houses or anything like that. So that was my goals for today. Looks like we have a pretty small group in attendance today so far. So is there anything else that you guys were hoping that I might go over? I probably will have some time to go over some one-offs if anybody has anything else on their mind.
I think I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just here for learning more.
All right, awesome. Well, then that being said, we'll get us right rolling. So first thing we're going to do is opportunities. So the people who are on here, have you, outside of putting stuff in for contracts sake to get paid, have you been using opportunities for anything else?
Then, so for new leads, like for FizzBuzz, I'm putting them in there.
Okay.
And then I just move them over as we progress. Awesome.
And that's perfect. That's exactly what it's for. You know, I was on a training the other day, and it was basically if you talk to somebody and someone replies to Jen's text message to meet for coffee because they want to buy a house, they're going to potentially go in there as an opportunity too. So to get to them, and to edit the stages, you actually have to go into the opportunity to make that happen. So the opportunity is the handshaking, the two handshaking over here. And then once you are in there, to be able to edit them, despite the fact that it's this little gear over here where you would normally think is a setting, you actually have to go into the opportunity itself to edit any of those. So, well, not the opportunity itself, but the opportunities tab here. So you go into one of them, either listings or buyings, and then from here is where you'll actually begin to edit stages. So before we dive into that, there's an important thing I want to go over. So the way that KW Command is set up is there are stages and phases. So this cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, and close, those we are calling phases. Those titles and things cannot be edited. We can edit the stages. So in order to edit the stages, you go over here to the little pencil mark here that says edit stages. And then from there, you have all of the stages that are available to you. You have pre-listing. So for this, for an active listing, we have pre-listing, active, in negotiations, and legacy. So if I wanted to add a stage itself, just go over here and add stage. And we'll call it, I don't know, pre-listing. Just because we already have a pre-listing. I don't know what goes before that. And then from there, you have the cool part of it. Once you get your pipeline completely working, you can put in the probability of that transaction getting to closing based on where it is in its stage. So if you're pre-listing and you haven't even met the person, that's probably going to have a low probability rate. All these numbers, if you don't change them, they do default to what they consider industry standards. And this helps you kind of predict your income out for the future. So we'll just put 10% there just to get a number in there. And then from there, you go ahead and you hit save. And if you want to move that to a different place, you can drag and drop and then move that around. So that's how you edit the actual stages within a phase. Are there any questions on that? That's a pretty that one's been, that functionality has been out for pretty much since the beginning with stages. You could rename them, you can change the probability, you can reorder them,
Chris,
all that stuff. Yeah.
quick question. So I didn't understand before what the probability meant when I was working in the stages, and I made a checklist underneath each of the stages. Okay. So of things to do in that stage. What I didn't know was the probability. So the probability it's more like a statistic. If you're in the pre-listing stage, there's a 50% chance of from that listing going all the way to clear to close. Is that correct?
Yep.
Oh, sweet. I didn't know that. Okay.
So then what that will do is, for predictability of income, if it's a $10,000 commission and it's a 50% likelihood, it's going to count as your probable income. That's going to go down to, you'll see on here, if you scroll down to the bottom of that column, it shows the probable income of that. So it's $6,900 in potential income in pre-listing that we have. And then since we've determined that 50% of people that we get to pre-listing are going to close, then that's calculating that probable income from those opportunities as half of that.
So that affects your commission. Is that that's what you're saying?
It predicts your potential.
It predicts
your
potential.
Your problem. Okay. Yep. And then as you see, so that predicts that percentage is up at the top. And then if you go back to the actual timeline, you then have your probable income for all of your opportunities that are in there based on where they're at. So for example, under contract, we've got clear to close. Probably shouldn't be 100%, but it's pretty close to 100%.
Right.
And if you're, let's say pre-closing your past due diligence, you get a 90% chance, and then it kind of goes back from there. And you can gauge those. You can use your own numbers as far as what your experience is on those, and that'll just give you a kind of predictability in your income and see where your gaps are.
Okay, thank you.
And then
didn't know that.
Yeah. So then the big thing with that we've recently embraced a lot as a team with Reach Properties is using the task checklist within the stages. So within each stage, you can create a separate checklist for your activities that need to be done during that stage of the process. And the way you actually do that is very similar to that. So let's make sure I'm in the right place here. So I'm going to go under the buyers and under the under contract, for example. So we have, so to do that, you're going to do that same thing. You're going to go to the phase that you want to edit and add to. You're going to hit edit stages, and then you'll see the due diligence, pre-closing, and clear to close. To create an actual checklist from that, you're going to go into the checklist right here, where it's highlighted there, and then you can start creating your checklist of action items for that stage during the process. And then the cool part about it is, as you move that to the next part of the timeline, it adds those new tasks to it. So this becomes your transaction management platform, and it's driven by which stage of the pipeline it is in. So once you create all of your tasks, so for example, under our due diligence period under contract, the first task on there is to give a call to introduce yourself. So all of this stuff is getting done, and then you can assign them out in the next part of this. So you're creating your stages here. You can edit this order. You can drag and drop just like in the other stages to move them around. And then you can see we've got a total of 49 action items that become tasks for that part of the transaction. And then from there, you can assign them to the actual opportunity and to the people within them. Any questions on the editing the contract stages and the task items within them? So the column, they show up under checklist.
No, I actually did that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. And the fact that it moves on the stage too. So now what you can do, so as you can see in here, this doesn't assign due dates or who it's assigned to or anything like that. Where you do that is on the actual opportunity itself. So if you go into any of the opportunities, you'll see the individualized checklist for that opportunity. And you can check, once the box gets highlighted, you can check on in it. So this automatically assigned all of these tasks based on where it was. And then within here, they get assigned to specific people. So if you have a team and you need to assign certain tasks to different people in there, you can assign them out to specific people. And then you can assign a due date for those too. So if you'd have, let's just say you put that contract there and you need to put the due diligence date in there and confirm when that due diligence date is, you can set that due date and it'll show up as where these tasks show up is back on your home screen. If you have this task thing on here, all of your tasks due that day for contacts will show up first. And then over here, you can change these to opportunity tasks, and any tasks you have for specific opportunities will show up as due in that section. So it becomes your task manager. You see it right on your dashboard, front and center, along with any leads you generated, and you have the ability to customize your homepage as well. So that is some of the stuff that you can do right now in Opportunity and creating task lists from them as well. Any questions from opportunities and tasks? Are you guys gonna start using them more for those opportunities before they get under contract and for transaction management? It's great to be able to see it again and to refresh your memory, like, oh yeah, I need to talk to that person again if you didn't set that file. It's like a double reminder for yourself.
It really is. I like it because it is a good reminder to say, oh yeah, I put that FSBO in there.